What is up, everybody? This is Trevor from Team RunWise. So in this video, we are going to be covering day 3 of the 3-day runner split strength program. So if you're on this video, you probably received this sort of exercise prescription from us, from Team RunWise. So we're going to be covering all the exercises in the day 3 session or day 3 workout of the 3-day plan. So if you have any questions about the technique, or if you have any questions about how to progress these exercises or just how to do them, this is the video for you. Feel free to save this video so that you can reference it later. As you get stronger, I will talk about some different ways that you can progress the movements and make them harder, or just change them up if you want a little bit of variety. All right, the first of the warm-up exercises are the pogo hops. We talked about this. We've already done these in the day 1 videos. If you're not familiar, pogo hops, it's just like jump roping without the rope. So it's literally just hopping in place. Because this is a warm-up, these are gonna be pretty easy, but you'll notice as you do them for 20, 30 seconds, your heart rate gets up. That's the point of these. You want to get your heart rate up. You'll notice my heels are not touching the ground. They're just quick little hops in place. On sets 2 and 3, you can do bigger jumps. So you can kind of put a bigger plyometric stimulus on them. That's the point of these. They're quick plyometric bounces. So you can either do really quick, rapid jumps, just staying on your toes, or mix in some bigger jumps. You can also kind of mix up which foot goes forward, go in and out, side to side. Again, you're just hopping in place to really get your heart rate up, get your knees, your hips, your ankles ready for the strength workout ahead. The next exercise are tuck jumps. So it's like a squat jump, but you're driving your knees up as high as you can. So it may be good to warm up with some squat jumps. Once you've done a couple, the tuck jump is you're jumping straight up and tucking your knees. So if you can really get a good knee drive up, you're gonna feel like you're floating for a second. So yeah, do 4, 5, 6 of these in a row. Again, your heart rate should definitely be up by now. You don't have to do them so consecutively. Give yourself, a second to recover in between them, because you want these to be max effort jumps as high as you can, tucking your knees up as high as you can. Okay, so now we're getting into the heavy work. If you need to take some time to do some like quick hip drills or core exercises, I would definitely recommend those. You want to make sure your core is engaged, your hips are ready. If you need to do any hip mobility drills, if you need any inspiration for hip mobility drills, check out our Instagram. We do have a couple videos on just some quick hip openers, hip mobility stuff that would definitely benefit you to do before this squat, especially if you have any sort of hip problems before or after a squat. The back squat, whether you're on a Smith machine or a barbell, is one of the best exercises you can do. If you can load it heavy and do them properly, they're fantastic for almost any sport, runners included. So to be strong in the back squat is just a really good sign of all around lower extremity strength and durability. So we will be doing a superset, or sort of a contrast set, with heavy back squat, and you can either do box jumps or just squat jumps. So as soon as I'm done with this set, I'm gonna go right into squat jumps. So just body weight, just like we did outside. Again, we're just jumping as high as we can consecutively. The reason it's a contrast set is because we're doing slower, heavier movements. So this is really driving up our strength, our neural drive, and then we're going straight into the sort of more plyometric focused jump of a similar movement. There's some research that shows that it really does increase your strength and power in that movement pattern. And so because the squat incorporates such a good stimulus to the hips, knees, even at the ankle, it really is a great movement and a great pairing to just make you a stronger athlete overall. So for the barbell back squat, I like to have my hands positioned outside of shoulder width. You really got to find the hand grip that fits you the best, that you would like the most. I'm going straight under the bar. You're going to rest the barbell really on the very lowest end of your neck, on the very bottom. It shouldn't feel like it's on your neck. It should feel like it's on your traps. And so play around. If you've not back squatted ever or in a long time, play around with where the bar sits. It should be comfortable. It shouldn't feel like a needle in your neck. It shouldn't feel like there's a ton of pressure on your neck. It should sit really comfortable on this sort of shelf that's made up of your traps and scapula and stuff like that. So I'm getting directly under the bar. My feet are right underneath me as if I'm coming out of a squat already. I'm lifting straight up, and then I'm taking a couple steps back. You'll notice I didn't have to lift too far off the rack. So you want the rack height, what's holding the bar, to be a little bit shorter than your shoulders. So you don't want to have to squat down super far to get the bar off the rack. And you also don't want to go up on your tippy toes to get it off. You should be able to find a rack height that's comfortable for you. I go feet probably just at shoulder width. I like my toes pointed out just ever so slightly, maybe 5 degrees. I actually rotate my knees beforehand, so I kind of prime my hips first, unlocking my knees. I keep my head straight forward or even up a little bit. I'm squeezing my back together. My hips, you'll notice my hips and knees move at the same time. So I'm not bending at the knees first. I'm not just bending at the hips. I'm doing both at the same time. Hips and knees drop down. You'll notice the bar is traveling almost in a nice vertical position. So it shouldn't be going too far back. It shouldn't be tipping side to side. I'm going all the way down till I feel a nice deep stretch, and then popping up. Coming down, nice and slow, controlled, and then popping up. You want to load this heavy, so treat this like a strength exercise. If you go too low, you'll notice my low back starts to dip down, okay? If you're feeling like your low back is really a limiting factor in this movement, you may need either someone to watch you. If you have a mirror, that's great. You don't have to go down so far. So there's nothing inherently wrong with what's called the butt wink. So you get to the bottom and that your butt or your hips kind of go into that posterior pelvic tilt. There's been enough research, especially in the physical therapy realm, where it doesn't seem like that's necessarily a problem as long as you are progressively loading it properly and you're doing the proper steps to make sure you're not injuring or really putting that low back in a vulnerable position. So it's not a problem. If you have no issues with your low back, if you can stay strong and stiff in that position despite the pelvic tilt, you're good. But we're not bodybuilding, so we don't need to go into the deepest stretch possible, and we're not trying to maximize for hypertrophy. So for the sake of this back squat for runners, go as deep as you feel comfortable. So as deep as it is a challenge, I don't want your heels lifting off the ground. I don't want you rounding your back super far or getting in these awkward positions. Just stay what's stable and comfortable for you, even if it's only a quarter squat. So if you get under the bar and you can only go, above parallel, go here, pop back up. We'll work on some ankle mobility and hip mobility to get you into a deeper squat later on. And a lot of times you'll be able to go deeper in the squat just by squatting more often. So especially if you're new to squatting, go as far as you feel comfortable. So if your knees go over the toes, in that direction, totally fine. You really have to. Otherwise, if your knees don't go forwards, notice what's happening at my back and hips. I'm doing more of an RDL. So let the knees go forward. Again, hips and knees move at the same time. Go all the way down. You'll notice I'm parallel. As soon as I go parallel, you'll notice the butt wink. So my hips round underneath me. So for me, I stop around parallel. I can get decently deep in the squat, but for me, I usually get to parallel. I stop there. You can even hold in the bottom. That's really good for increasing mobility down there, and then popping back up. And so again, after I finish that set of barbell back squat, I'm going right into the squat jumps or box jumps. You can do your first set of back squat, go into the jumps, maybe do a minute rest in between, and then go into the back squat for the second set and just alternate like that, minute rest in between. Or to make it even more challenging, do your heavy set of barbell back squat, go straight into the box jumps or squat jumps, and then maybe take 2 to 3 minutes off. You're gonna need a longer rest so that you can hit those back squats just the same reps, same weight. You wanna hit them hard. So yeah, take the rest that you need in order to really hit the next set just as hard. Okay, so the next exercise is the single leg RDL. You're really working the same muscles as the double leg or the barbell RDL. You just can't go as heavy. So I actually like to hold one dumbbell. You can hold two, you can hold it in either arm. whatever works for you. I like it to be in the opposite arm. So if I'm working my left leg, I'm going to hold it in my right arm. And I just find it helps keep my hips and back neutral, because if I go on this side, I start to lean outwards. If you have a mirror, a really good cue is to watch that back leg. So the dumbbell RDO looks something like this. Again, I can RDO, I have a little bit of bend in the stance leg, and I'm going to bring the dumbbell down towards the toes. I'm really aiming for the toe. So that's again why I like this opposite arm. I'm aiming the dumbbell at the toe. You can see my back and this back leg are pretty straight. So I'm mostly like a still beam. I'm just rocking on that stance leg. So you don't want to be rounding like this. You don't want to be arching too much. A little bend in the knee. You're just keeping your leg and back straight, and you're just hinging at that hip. You'll feel your entire posterior chain, a little bit of the calf, especially the hamstring and glute light up, pop up. So the tempo, like everything else, you're going heavy on this, so nice and slow, all the way until you feel that deep stretch, hold for a second, and then pop up. Nice and slow, pop up. So we're only doing 5 or 6 reps of these. You can go heavy. You're really gonna feel it in your hamstrings, especially if you haven't done these before, haven't done them in a while. They're pretty difficult. If you find they're too hard for balancing, if you haven't done them in a while, or you just struggle with balance normally, have something you can hold on to. So the arm is not being used, just have it next to you, just kind of hover over it. If you start to wobble, just catch yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. You just don't want to be pushing too hard with your hand. But again, if you have a mirror, a great way to check yourself is just to watch yourself go down. You don't want that hip to turn out. You want to stay nice and neutral as you come down and pop up. Again, you can look at the side, watch your leg that you're not turning out or tilting. You just stay nice and stable. Okay, this next movement, if you haven't done it before, it absolutely stinks. It's a wall sit, which wall sits for me are already pretty tough. So get down into a wall sit position. If you were to look at a mirror from the side, you would see that there's a 90-degree angle at the knee, 90-degree angle at the hips. So I'm nice and straight. I'm deep enough where I can lay from the tabletop right here, no problem. You should feel your quads lighting up immediately. Don't let your knees and hips go forward. Make sure your back and hips are nice and straight up against the wall. And then to make it harder, you're going to go up on your toes and just hold that plantar flex or that toe flex position in this wall sit right here. So it makes it really tough. You're going to get some calf work too. If your calves cramp up, just come back down. But you want to try and hold it the whole time. So you're getting an isometric at the calves, isometric at the quads and hips. It's brutal. To progress this, you can try like alternating. You can get down into the squat. You can alternate and try and lift up one leg, hold, lift up one leg. That makes it really tough. If you're up in your calves, you can either put like a bumper plate or some dumbbells on your knees just to add some weight. You can always just hold longer too. Because it's isometric, you do want to kind of do like a maximal squeeze. So you want to either load it heavy or go for, you probably don't want to go for longer than a minute. There's nothing wrong with that, but we're not trying to like break a world record for how long you can hold it. So, just 20 or 30 seconds of a nice strong contraction, especially if you're holding some weight. As these get easier, put some weight on and just challenge yourself. And those isometrics are really good for increasing that neural drive to the target muscles. All right, the next exercise we're doing is the single leg glute bridge. If you've not done these before, these are really tough. So you may even find that you cramp on these or you just can't hold them. The easiest way you can do this, or at least start into it, is just the double leg glute bridge. So, we're not going for the full 90 degrees. When you come up into the glute bridge, your knees will probably be somewhere around 90 degrees. But just start, especially if this is your first time doing these, just start with some double leg glute bridges, really squeezing at the top. And then from here, what you can do is from the double leg glute bridge, lift one leg and try not to let those hips drop. You'll find it's pretty difficult. So just lift one leg squeeze, alternate, lift one leg. And that's a great way to start if the single leg progression is too difficult. But to do the full single leg glute bridge exercise, you want to go ahead and lift that leg up, just have it in a nice relaxed position, and then you're lifting at the hips, driving through that bottom leg. Coming down, my toe just kind of naturally comes up. I kind of rock on my heel. Nothing wrong with that. As long as my back is in kind of a neutral position, I'm pushing up, coming down. As soon as my hips touch the ground, I'm popping back up, squeezing at the top. So a couple things you can do with this. You can just do more reps and be really explosive with them, or you can come up at the top and hold. Holding these, you'll find is really hard, even just for like 10 seconds. Really, really difficult. You'll find your hips are slowly dropping. Try and keep your hips nice and tall. Not arching the back too much. Keep the core engaged, bringing those hips up, and then come back down. Pop up, squeeze, hamstrings and glutes pushing up, holding at the top. Again, that's just another way to progress it. So if we're going easiest to hardest, start with the double leg glute bridge, incorporate some single leg stuff, do single leg glute bridges, and then do single leg glute bridges with the hold at the top. Really hard stuff. If you need an even bigger challenge, hold a dumbbell in your lap. That would make it really difficult. Okay, the next exercise we're doing is the suitcase carry. So I'm holding a 55-pound dumbbell. My grip is honestly pretty tired right now, so I usually hold anywhere from like 50 or really 45 to 60 pounds. Kind of like what I do with the farmer carry, except it's just in one arm. So it's a farmer carry in one hand. So just like we do in the farmer carry, you're gonna feel the opposite oblique really firing, because the dumbbell wants to pull you to that opposite side. You have to use the opposite oblique to keep yourself in neutral. Okay, the obliques are really important for maintaining an upright posture while running. So naturally, we want to train those muscles. So you're just walking along, trying to stay nice and up tall. Don't let those shoulders, so again, the dumbbell wants to drag you down and to the side. Stay up nice and tall. So again, this is a timed exercise. Don't rush, you don't have to walk too fast. You're just staying on your feet, getting more steps in. Switch hands, and then you're working the opposite oblique again. So it's just another alternative to the traditional farmer carry. It just works more of a unilateral approach. So this is good to mix in. If you don't want to do the traditional farmer carry every time, you can do a single arm suitcase carry and get a little bit of a different stimulus there. Okay, the last exercises on our list are really just one of those upper body burnouts that I like to throw in at the end of these 3-day runner split sessions. Again, we just want to try and keep some volume, some strength, some muscle in the upper body. Pull-ups are great, push-ups are great. I explained, I believe it was the first video, the day 1 video, where you're doing push-ups and pull-ups again. I talked through some of how to make the pull-up harder and just some of the technique things, so go reference that video if you have questions about the pull-up. I also recommend looking into maybe a lat pull-down machine, or you can also just do band-assisted pull-ups, or sometimes some gyms have a pull-up assisted machine. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and save it, reference it, look back on it if you have any questions about progressing your exercises or just some simple technique things. If you have any questions about these exercises or about the general 3-day runner split or how to strength train as an athlete, leave a comment down below. We'll make sure to answer your questions and get back to you as soon as possible.